What's going on, ambitious vet? Thanks for diving inside the trenches with us again this week as we seek to provide you the golden grenades you need to get out of your own way and fuel your desire to make an impact post-military. This is your podcast built by veterans for veterans as we dive into the trenches with today's top subject matter experts, share inspiring transition stories, and provide masterclasses to equip you to reach your full potential. Bottom line is, this is your place to go after immediate transition education expires towards your post-military goals.
To having no idea what I was doing in the civilian world. And I had a leader, at that job in Chicago that told me to embrace it, embrace the suck, embrace the challenge, and wear it on your sleeve, learn as much as possible, ask dumb questions. In the Marine Corps, you're kind of taught not to ask those dumb questions because you're going to look dumb, or you should know better type of stuff.
Hey, ambitious vet, are you ready to dive deeper inside of the community? Well, the next step after the podcast is go subscribe to our weekly newsletter. There, you're going to be able to find weekly content releases, such as the most recent podcast episode release, updates on the Ambitious Vet Network, and more resources, events, and opportunities to fuel your growth, your ambitions post-military. Go and check out vettrainingcoaching.com. Once the pop-up pops up, enter your name and your email address, and you'll be well on your way. Can't wait to see you on the email list. Take care.
It's time to get into the trenches, dig into your purpose, and fire up your life's fulfillment. The Ambitious Vet Podcast starts now.
What's going on, ambitious vet? Welcome right back inside the trenches this week with Mathew Vermilyer. Mathew is originally from Chicago, Illinois, where he enlisted in the United States Marine Corps at the age of 18 years old. He served as an explosive ordnance technician from 2009 to 2013, with one tour to Afghanistan in 2011. He's a seasoned director of analytics with incredible technical acumen and many years of experience in e-commerce technology consulting. Mathew is recognized for innovation, imagination, strategic thinking, and he's just one hell of a post-military Marine going out there and doing some amazing stuff. He's a master in proactive productivity and is consistently able to combine patience, determination, and persistence to troubleshoot issues. Mathew, are you there, brother?
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're just everything that a male Marine getting out of the military wants to be, man. How does it feel to be that way?
It feels good, man. It feels good. Appreciate it. It took a while, but I got there.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. So feel free to go ahead and fill the gaps, that introduction, and kind of maybe let us know a personal fact that maybe no one knows about you.
Yeah, sure. So, after I got out of the Marine Corps, I got lucky, kind of diving right into a career. I got out of the Marine Corps EAS on a Tuesday. I drove back to Chicago from North Carolina and had an interview scheduled that Wednesday morning and got a job offer Thursday, Friday, and started, 4 days into being out of the Marine Corps. And I personally think that was luck and a little bit of networking on my part. I was ready to get out of the Marine Corps. I had everything kind of planned out. I was going to go to school. I had resumes out there, and got a magic call from a recruiter. And luckily, that recruiter was recruiting a position that reported to a Marine, and that is why I consider that my career path to now being a little bit lucky. And even to this day, I think about just networking and being in a group around Marines, around veterans is a way to, get a leg up, honestly. So a little bit more about what I'm currently doing. So I work at a company called Peak Activity. We're a technology consulting firm. I currently oversee the data and analytics practice, which means we focus on helping clients, learn about their business, maybe sell more product online, get more lead generations, And we do that through using data and visualizing data and telling a story about it really, and building context around data so that our clients can make really, really good sound business decisions. And when they make sound business decisions, we tend to stick around for a while. So, yeah.
No, that's great. And man, that's a long drive from you said what, North Carolina back to Chicago. That's
Yeah.
reflection time, huh?
And it was probably the worst winter in Chicago that I'd ever had. And funny story about that is I got out and stayed a winter in Chicago, and then got an opportunity to move down to South Florida, which is where I'm at now. And just based on that winter alone, I had, 1.5 feet of snow to take off my car every morning to go to work. And as soon as I got that opportunity, I was like, yep, I'm going to South Florida. So,
man, beaches compared to, huge skyscrapers and the windy city, man, that wind just makes it even more colder too, man. Oh, man. So yeah, tell us, more about like, okay, you got to Chicago, land that job, we're being proactive, getting ahead of the, that stability problem that a lot of veterans hit when they're getting out of the military. But as you landed that job, would you learn more about yourself? Because one thing, man, that I've learned about you from just talking to you more is just, you were meritorious promoted multiple times in the Marine Corps, which is, fantastic, right? You were pretty much a shit hot Marine. This is one Marine going to another one. Hey, we're each other's biggest fans, man. Right. So it's just like, hey, you got meritorious promoted a few times, kick ass Marine, you got out, and you just were able to kind of crack the code on how do you lead teams post-military as well. So to walk us through, okay, you landed that job in Chicago. How did you start developing the relationships or the skills, soft or hard skills, man, to really be like, okay, well, I want to go to Florida. I want to go somewhere warmer and actually create opportunity like that. Cause I feel like sometimes vets can feel trapped in their current circumstances.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that last statement. They do feel trapped. I struggled with it too. And really I learned this right when I got out is I was an ordnance technician. We built bombs and rockets and distributed ammo to for combat missions, and that has nothing to do with what I'm doing right now. So I went from doing that type of stuff to having no idea what I was doing in the civilian world. And I had a leader, at that job in Chicago that told me to embrace the suck, embrace the challenge, and wear it on your sleeve, learn as much as possible, ask dumb questions. In the Marine Corps, you're kind of taught not to ask those dumb questions because you're going to look dumb, or you should know better type of stuff.
Yep.
And that transition was hard for me. Even being like a young, like you said, I was meritorious promoted. I got out as a sergeant in 4 years, and I was leading, Marines that at the time I was 22 that were probably 32, right? I was telling 32-year-olds to go, clean the head type of stuff. And that was weird to me. And getting out, being a leader, totally different mindset. I still carry some of that militant style leadership traits even to this day. But there needs to be a transition out of that into the civilian world that the Marine Corps and other branches don't really prep you for that harsh of a transition, where you're not going to get told what to do every day. You're going to have to go out there and get it and figure it out. And that's where I really strive, right? I knew no one was going to be telling me to do, certain things, and I had to go get it for myself and learn, a new trade, and kind of embrace not knowing and asking, right? And networking and learning as much as I possibly could. So I got out and I started going to school full-time and working full-time. And eventually got a degree in management information systems from a school in South Florida, Florida Atlantic University, and was working for a corporation called Office Depot Office Max. And from that, I kind of, went up the ladder as far as my career and my leadership capabilities, and then went from working large corporation where it was, I could probably write my own ticket and just continue to climb that ladder. But I was looking for a little different of a change, and ended up going to a startup, Peak Activity, like I had mentioned. And I was
It's a big
employed.
change. It's a big change. Yeah.
100%. And it was scary. I was pretty comfortable, but I knew I had a little bit more to give than what was being required, at this large corporation. I knew that if I made this change, I could, learn so much more. So I went to the startup. I was employee number 10 or 11, and this is coming up on 5 years ago. And we've really taken off, and I've built a team now. I think I have 10 or 12, team members under me, 3 of which are direct managers. And I've actually hired, 2 veterans, 1 Coast Guard veteran. I'll give a little shout out to Joe if you're listening. Really appreciate all your experience on the team, and super lucky to have you. And then most recently, I just hired another Marine veteran, George, starting. He's doing a similar path as me, where he got out, started a career in management, in more of like the car industry, and now is getting into data and analytics. So, he's having to completely change his mindset. We're not doing anything, in this world, to now, living that, kind of, I would say it's pretty much, his dream is he's been wanting to do this for a long time, and he's got the opportunity.
Yeah.
And he got that opportunity through networking. Reached out to me many, many times on LinkedIn, followed me on LinkedIn, bothered me on LinkedIn, and eventually, we had a position open, and I picked him up. So.
Yeah. The moral of that story is just keep kicking down doors, keep kicking down the doors. Right. Big shout out to Joe and George. That's huge. I love the recognition side of things. And from you being a manager, right? I think it's cool to kind of maybe unpackage how you take on a new team member, right? Because, you're pretty good at running teams. You built a small team in a startup that I'm sure, as you were coming in, I believe 4 years ago, right, into Peak Activity, or maybe give or take a few more months. There was probably a lot of autonomy there, right? And just how do you build the processes and systems to thrive in your new role? I mean, I would just love for someone that's coming from the automotive industry into the data analytic industry, how do you approach it as a former Marine who has proven accolades to lead people that are older than them, lead teams, and get promoted quickly? How are you able to kind of develop someone like George to really thrive in a brand new industry where they may not feel the most confident?
Yeah, it's a great question. I truly think I have the best team, that's probably out there for Peak Activity. I've made some really, really strong hires, and we've put them through the ringer, and we've even hired at a very entry level position and brought them up to being, what I call superstars or rock stars at our company. And I think, I always go back to the JJ did tie buckle acronym for the Marine Corps, right? The 14 leadership traits. And there's some in there that I like. There's some in there that I dislike about how, Marines are brought up to be leaders. But, one of the most important things that I tend to do is I make decisions, and I make them pretty quickly. So, decisiveness is a key factor for me in my leadership trait. In the Marine Corps, not making a decision is, could be life or death, right? And especially in a leadership position. Now I'm not dealing with life or death situations. I'm dealing with, customers and clients, marketing spend and data that they're trying to learn about. But even at that point, I'm still making decisions, whether it's, sometimes it's the wrong decision, but at least I made a decision, and we're not sitting there be stagnant. So a lot of times I preach not falling into something. This is a analytics term I throw out there, is analysis paralysis, where you just sit there and spin around in circles around data and look at it a million different ways and slice and dice it, but you never come up with an actionable insight. So that's one on the JJ did tie buckle, decisiveness. And the other one I like to say is I really like to empower the team to make their own decisions, right? I'm not a micromanager in the Marine Corps. You probably remember at least a higher ranking sergeant or staff sergeant that micromanages you every single day, or you're reading a publication of how to do something, everything step by step. I don't do that. I don't carry that on. So that's
Right.
one tip for somebody that's getting out. Try to give your team members the power to make decisions, empower them, and let them learn, let them fail, and let them learn from their own mistakes. We can't kind of baby everyone along the way, and that's kind of where you're going to weed out, who's going to be a rock star and who can take on some of these tasks that might not be customer facing, or you don't need it to be super high priority, or this is not going to get done super fast, but it needs to get done. You can give people like that the opportunity. So empowerment and decisiveness are probably the two that I like to pride myself on.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I love that you tied in a ditty that's been ingrained in our DNA, but please do not try to test me on it, because I've been out of the Marine Corps for over 10 years, man. So I don't know if I got into formation and you were leading it, maybe it might just come up through muscle memory as I'm running my skivvies, man, but it's been a while. But I love it. I love the decisiveness. I love the empowerment. And one thing I would ask you too is, get it on the court, man. Like, what's an example of empowering someone to go in and screw it all up? In other words, sink or swim. How do you empower people from a practical standpoint? Tools, frameworks? Is there like a best practice that you've learned through your years of developing leadership post-military? What is it for you?
It's probably easier to empower veterans, to be honestly. I think they've always had this mentality that they're kind of held back, and they have so much to give. They're stuck in a way. And once you give them the ability to be empowered, the ability to make decisions, I feel like a veteran is one of the strongest assets to any team. So I'm lucky that I have two of them, and I'm lucky that I can let them kind of sink or swim. I know that they'll never really sink. They're going to learn so much. They're going to come out on top, and I trust them to make the decisions. But for just in general empowerment examples, I think on the data and analytics side, and Peak Activity being a consulting agency, you have to have some type of tactfulness and people skills to have a conversation and gather requirements from your clients and feed those requirements back down. And that's where I like to test people's empowerment. Here, go into this client facing meeting without too much oversight, and see how it goes, and have a follow-up conversation with the client after, asking how the team members are doing on the team. You're going to get so much more feedback by these one-on-one sessions of how they're working. So I do things like that. I also, we use a ticketing system where we'll issue a member of our team a ticket, and they have to go accomplish it. And I write some of the requirements. I don't do like click on this button and then add this data here and hit enter, right? It's, hey, here's the system you need to log this information into. If you have any questions, let me know. But I need you to learn this. It's going to be part of your daily job. It's not really sending them into the fire, but it's more of a guidance than a direct step-by-step. So I take that tactic as well for empowerment.
Yeah, no, I love it. Hey, here's the mission. Here's the goal. Figure it out. Use me for feedback. Sounds like you do great as far as being proactive, as far as hiring as well, looking for key characteristics that you can see that may match the culture that you're committed to developing, which from what I can tell, man, since I've talked to you a few times now, super laid back, just being willing to be stupid and be like, hey, I don't know this. What about this? What about that? And asking those key questions too, man. So it sounds like there's some magic happening they're at peak activity with what you're doing with hiring initiatives. So I know we're about to hit time, sadly, man, but I mean, I do want to kind of shift gears to, just the last segment of the show, Matthew. I want to talk about this ambitious vet that's listening to this, that, it's been out of the uniform for at least a few years, right, man? They've kind of figured out the basic needs, how to achieve those, at least, like healthcare, understanding of benefits, career readiness type stuff, but they're just lacking that personal satisfaction, or what they want, who they are, and how to go get it, right? What would be one last save round that you would provide to that ambitious vet? And then we'll give them a call to action to go reach out to you.
Yeah, I have three things that I like to say. Is one, for that ambitious vet that, decided to get out and go to school, utilize that veterans program at that school. That's where I make phone calls to the vet centers at FAU and Palm Beach State down here in South Florida, and ask them if there's any, veterans that are graduating with this type of degree where we have this position. That is one area if you're looking for that leg up. The other thing is more on the outside of the work, like more of a balance of work life. Get involved with some type of veterans community, whether it's, a volunteer event with a local nonprofit veteran. For me, I'll give a shout out to Unified Dream, founded by an Iraq War Marine. I think he did the push to Fallujah the first time. Super awesome guy. He does community projects here in South Florida, and we do once a month, go fun trips. We'll go golfing, we'll go fishing, we'll do paintballing, things like that. Just once a month to have that balance is really good for me. I feel like I still have a mission when we go on those types of trips. Those community service projects are good for me. And I'm also part of a VFW here in Delray Beach. VFW tends to get a bad rep just historically with new veterans, but I still think it's an area to meet up and hang out and be involved with an organization that's extremely well known and has some of the financial stability to actually make impacts in veterans' lives, and they have the political backing. So if you're interested in things like that, those are types of things I do.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for sharing kind of the resources that you leverage, and also just some of your golden grenades that make a big difference for you. VFW, definitely an incredible local organization to plug into. I'm surprised every time I do go to a memorial service being put on by a VFW, how many post 9/11 veterans are participating within the VFW. And, there's a lot to learn from the war fighters that served before us, right? And I know that there is some bad juju around, don't live in your glory days. You don't want to be in a beer drinking club, stuff like that. But man, there's some good quality conversations and camaraderie that happens within the VFW, some great community projects. So make sure you do plug into those organizations. And as Matthew said, part of the big six that have a lot of backing financially and have a lot of power in Capitol Hill. Matthew, man, where can an ambitious vet that's listening to this right now, where can they go to learn more about you and connect with you?
Yeah, you messed up my name when you pronounced it on the intro, but it's Vermilyer. So I'd encourage you to check out my LinkedIn. I do a lot of content, micro videos where I'm talking to the leaders in the industry. So Mathew Vermilyer on LinkedIn, and I'll be sharing this podcast on there. Hope to connect with you. If you want to shoot me a message and tell me your story, or if you're interested in meeting up in South Florida, let me know.
Yeah. Vermilyer. I got it now.
Like familiar.
Yeah, I love it. Ambitious vet, you never got to be perfect to take action, but I apologize for that, brother. But yeah, go connect with Mathew. And Matt, just thanks for joining the show. Thanks for spreading out the breadcrumbs for the Marines, the sailors, the Air Force guys, the coasties to go and follow, man, and reach their ambitions, their post-military ambitions. Thanks for joining the show, brother.
Thanks, Chris.
The Ambitious Vet is available on all popular podcast platforms. Go to vettrainingcoaching.com to subscribe, rate, and share with fellow vets.
Ambitious Vet, before you go, make sure you go check out our current website, vettrainingcoaching.com. And once the pop-up pops up, go ahead and subscribe to our email list with your name and your email address there. You're going to get a weekly newsletter updating you with most recent content releases, updates inside the Ambitious Vet Network that only our email lists are receiving, and also other opportunities, resources, events, stuff like that you can be taking advantage of to fuel your growth and ambitions post-military. Again, go visit vettrainingcoaching.com now, subscribe to the email list, and go ahead and equip yourself to making sure you're achieving that goal that you're thinking about right now. Until next week, hold the vision and trust the process. Take care.